Welcome to the Mandcave. It's the only podcast hosted by two best friends with nothing in common except their first names. I'm Mandy Fabian.
And I'm Mandy Kaplan, and each week we test the limits of our friendship by arguing over movies and podcasts and books and all of Mandy's dumb ideas. Grab a couch, let's get to it.
Wait a minute, cut this shit.
I love that one of our special guests made a face like, did you just call your best friend's ideas dumb? And that's how we get through it. We've been friends for 25 years, and usually never agree on anything. But I think this week we will. We're just going to cut right to it, folks, because I guess we've become global sensations. We put it in the program for Miscast, and now we are a global phenomenon. And we keep getting these marvelous interviews with amazing creators of content. And last week we interviewed Melinda McGraw from Paul T. Goldman.
Hollywood
really
powerhouses.
Yeah.
Hollywood powerhouses. That's it.
Yes. And this week, the podcast that we are talking about this week is Mystic Mother, Witnessed Mystic Mother. And we have the podcast creators, sisters, Katie and Leah Henoch are with us. And so gals, unmute, join the party, grab your couch or whatever your version of your couch is. Hi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for doing this. This was so fun.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
Thank you for having us.
Oh.
Yes, I'm here. I just had a
Leah,
complete dissociative. My computer froze. I'm here. Can you hear me? Everything's okay.
We all have problems.
We talk about them a lot.
Do.
It was a very Hollywood moment, actually, how this happened, because the woman who recommended your podcast to me, you met her at a party. And that's how she found out about this. And I was like, what? So anyway, I was very, very excited. Thank you for letting me Instagram stalk you and agreeing to come on the show. So Mystic Mother, we'll put the trailer in our show notes. It's a little long, so we probably won't play it here. And also, I personally think that the first episode sucks people right in. Right? It is.
You had me at sex church.
Oh,
that's
my
all.
God.
I mean, that phrase.
Good.
Just kind of an overview for our listeners. It's a podcast. It's an 8-episode podcast, riveting, about a woman who runs a goddess temple in Phoenix, Arizona. And it is her religion that she is practicing in this temple, although some would call it a house of ill repute. And they do. And that is what your podcast is all about. And it's really interesting. And I would love to know, how did this come about? How did you come upon this story? I'm sure you've answered this question a million times, but I have not heard it. So please.
And please make it rhyme.
Okay.
Thank you.
It will be a limerick. No.
Great.
Okay. Katie. Okay. Yeah. So we're sisters. So we'll try not to talk over each other too much because we do that a lot. But we basically heard about this story because very randomly, someone we went to high school with reported on Tracy's trial. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that there's a trial because it's in the trailer and all that. But we grew up in Massachusetts, not Arizona.
Where?
Lexington.
Framingham.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Now it all makes sense.
And
I went to college in Worcester.
Oh, okay. But did you see the judgment? Because Framingham, not the nicest place. So they were both like, Framingham. Good.
No, I think it's because you're wearing your real Mandys sweatshirt. That's the judgment. Is that
okay?
No.
So our friend from high school, reported on Tracy's trial. And about 5-6 years ago, probably longer, I would see her post these articles on Facebook about Tracy and about this story. And I just became so fixated on it and couldn't believe that this wasn't a larger national news story.
He was really trying to talk to anyone who would listen about it. And, when Leah gets her mind on something, it's hard to move on. So I, of course, as the younger sister, got also swept up in it as well. And there wasn't a lot of national reporting about it. It kind of just felt like this thing that was going on in Arizona that nobody else really knew about. And Leah, you want to continue the series of events? But basically it started with someone in Leah's grade that she grew up with who was in Arizona working for the Phoenix New Times, and her beat was she was assigned to cover Tracy's trial.
Wow.
And then we kind of started there and went back to the beginning.
Wow. I have to say, I mean, when the podcast was happening, I almost I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, this is such a story that everyone needs to hear. Like I actually, and I've said this from the get-go, and this is where Mandy's going to throw up in her mouth just a little bit, because I am very much like,
because I hate that expression.
Yeah. Because you hate that expression. No, yeah. I fully believe and have ever since the Roe v. Wade thing happened. That little thing. But no, I've always believed that we need some sort of like sexual revolution for women in this country, and like female sexuality needs to be discussed. I made a complete U-turn and I was like, oh, we have to stop trying to fight in the courts, and we need to like fight in terms of education and sexuality not being shamed anymore. And like, it's a real thing that I've been thinking about and talking about. And I was so excited because you guys do a great job of complete neutrality in this, and in terms of just a real even-handed coverage of the both sides, which I thought was remarkable.
Was that a conscious choice for you guys as podcasters?
Yeah, I would say like we started out before we started working with Campside, we had made a pilot of the show just kind of on our own, like super scrappy, and it was more our personalities and opinions. And then when we started working with Campside, they're very journalistic, and we've never worked in that way before. We've been, actors and writers. And so it was this whole new thing of like, oh, there's all these things we have to follow, and journalistic integrity, that was completely new to us.
It's easy with this story too to see it in such like extremes, and that's how we felt like it had been reported in the small amount of reporting that had happened around it before. And I think our hope, once we were with Campside too, was to still infuse, some of our own feelings about it and how they changed after learning more about the story and doing a lot of research and reporting on it. And, it's not easy to just call it all one thing. So we hope that with the show, like we kind of took the audience with us on that journey, that it's a lot more complicated. It's not black and white. People have different opinions about Tracy, about sex work, about religion and the law. And we hope that it came across, to open people's minds to that.
You really did. You made me think about all those topics get discussed, and it made me think about all of them in ways that I hadn't before. And that's what I liked about it. Like Mandy and I joke, like our podcast is, we usually do, if there's a movie she loves, I'll probably hate it, and vice versa. Like it's this really weird thing that we have going on. However, one of the things I love about your podcast is it really, that's the thing is like whatever your opinion is on sex work, there is the gritty world of, some of these women got hurt, and some of the, a lot of the things that happen, like as much as a woman is embodying the goddess spirit and believing that she is doing a sexual healing and doing her religious practice, there is still sort of they're getting taken advantage of on some level, or they're in danger. They're not protected. They're not seen as goddesses. Like it was a really interesting dive into that world. And then how did you get to talk? Did you get to talk to Tracy Elise?
No. So we had started talking to her. Basically, we started working on this podcast, like it corresponded with the pandemic.
I was going to ask.
So like, like March 2020.
Okay, perfect.
And so it, it came out in September, not when the pandemic ended. Obviously, it's still happening, but anyways, that's another story. But Tracy, we had spoken with her in the beginning because our friend who had reported on her trial had a relationship with her and introduced us to her. And we'd, Zoomed with her and talked with her over the course of 2 years. And ultimately, she decided she didn't want to do an interview for the podcast. She's really committed to kind of telling her own story in her own words, but she gave us her blessing for it and gave us permission to use some YouTube videos and Facebook, because she has a lot of content out there.
And at first we were kind of like, oh God, she's not going to say yes. She doesn't want to sit for an interview. And then we really realized we don't need,
No.
we have so much material of her in her own voice, and it's also, we hope, it is about Tracy, but it's also not. And she's kind of one character of many. I mean, she was the leader of this place, but we try to not paint her at all as a hero or a villain.
Right.
And, she was different things to different people. And I think what you were saying before, Mandy, about like, Tracy's tricky because it's like some of her philosophies, it's like, you can kind of be like, yeah, we should all be more in touch with our bodies, and women are goddesses. And, it's just like the application of her beliefs didn't quite hit it. And we're kind of off center in a way that created a whole lot of problems and raised a lot of issues. But I forgot what your original question was, but she did not sit for an interview, but we had, as you could hear, her voice is in a lot of the show. We had more than we needed of her.
Did you do it all via Zoom or did you go to Arizona? Both.
We both. Yeah. We went to Arizona fall of 2021.
Okay.
And we were in Phoenix for a week, and we also went to Sedona too.
Great. Yeah, I think my overall takeaway is they're just, the two concepts are not mutually exclusive. This is a religion and it's illegal, right? I mean, they're both correct. So a debate team could use your podcast to argue either side, really. It's just,
Totally.
it is illegal to accept money for, in this day and age, especially in Maricopa County, it is illegal. And
right.
But I believe Tracy believes this is healing work. I don't think she's like, I'll con everybody into thinking this is a religion.
No, that's the thing that, and I hope it doesn't give any spoilers. I hope it just intrigues people to listen, because like when she is in court making her arguments, she is so firm in her conviction, and I waver on what kind of sandwich I want for lunch. And she is willing to go to jail multiple times over, for what she believes. And she sings in that courtroom, for God's sake. I mean, goddess bless, right? She is, I agree. This is very authentic for her. And it's that interesting thing where a lot of these women who get into sex work, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but they had some sort of sexual abuse as a child.
Yeah. And
so they're trying to sort of reclaim their sexuality in a way that they believe is empowering, that feels right to them. And I was like, gosh, the sex church is a great idea. Maybe we just, don't maybe we get the sexual assault thing really healed. Like, let's figure out a way to have a celebration of sexuality and female goddessness without
servicing men.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, I don't know if all those guys really, got the intent that
Seekers.
The seekers. So
the seekers.
The women are all called goddesses and the men are all called seekers. And the language of the church is really interesting. And the arguments in court, I will say this, I found what you opened my eyes to with this was, I never really thought that much about sex workers and why they may go into sex work, how they do not have a safe place to practice or do what they do, how they have something that's not really that different. The one woman she was an exotic dancer, and then she went in for Reiki. I believe she was going to take Reiki classes, and then she ended up being a goddess and doing some of the sessions. And she didn't want to be doing that. She wanted to move into something that was a little bit more above board. But I just think it's interesting that she can be an exotic dancer and get paid for dances and things. We have, and you can pay for a massage and you can pay for sexual therapy, but you can't, it's an interesting thing where there's a certain thing about sex work that really has a very male kind of, women are suddenly whores and sluts and bad and dirty, and that this is an outrage to society. So it is that it is illegal, but it's also fraught with all of these other things.
Yeah,
totally.
Completely. And I think that was something going in, at least I won't speak for Katie, but I hadn't thought about as much. I was when we first saw the story, I was drawn to Tracy and this whole religion and this or that. And I wasn't thinking about, wait, why do we criminalize sex work? Why is sex work so stigmatized? Why, someone who, like in the podcast, who was trying to get out of sex work ends up going back in and has all these felony charges and then can't get a job and all this, paradoxical nature of it. Like I hadn't thought about that before. It's embarrassing to say, but I hadn't. And definitely doing this made me think, like what you're saying, it's a religion and it's illegal. It's like both are true. And then our hope with the podcast was then we asked, well, why is it illegal?
Yeah.
Why is it criminalized?
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you also make the point that there are no men that get arrested for any of this.
Charged. Yeah.
Yeah. And just going back to what you said too about the idea of Tracy's belief, like I think that's what really piqued my interest at first, because it was like, Leah and I kind of had different areas that we were, fascinated by, and then that kind of changed over time. But, to some at first, it's like, okay, is Tracy really like wink, wink? I'll set up this whole like religion, and it's the opposite.
Right.
I mean, so to me, that was fascinating. Someone who's so committed to their beliefs, and people, everyone we interviewed was like, she may have been willingly ignoring reality or operating in kind of her ideal world, but she wasn't, consciously running a scam. She was so committed to her beliefs. Like you said, she chose to, spoiler alert, defend herself in her own trial. And yeah.
The problem for me lies in that she recruited others. It wasn't just her.
Yes.
She had these other women working for her, believing different versions of what she was telling them. Some of them feeling coerced, some of them feeling empowered.
Right.
That makes it real gray.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Can I ask, what is next for you two with this? With Mystic Mother, the concept?
Yeah, we're seeing what's happening. We'll see. There's been, some interest to like develop it into something more,
Yes.
which would be our like real hope. Because also, I mean, I feel like it's cliche to say we want to see complicated female characters, but I guess it's true that, someone who is not a villain, not a hero, is really complicated. Like Tracy's an incredible character in this story too. So are a lot of the other women we talk to.
Yeah.
And,
there's people we talk to that didn't make it into the podcast.
For sure.
There's a lot of stories that, we think could still be told in, other mediums. So we'll see.
Absolutely. And it needs to be told. Like, I would say there's a lot of great television that gets out there, but like this to me feels like it would serve so many masters. Well, that's a terrible phrase to use for this, but
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? It would be a very useful, I think it needs to be told. I was so blown away. Those recordings of Tracy in court did your friend
Gold.
Yeah. Did your
Gold.
friend record those when she was covering the trial?
She was only there for part of the trial. We, requested from the courts all of the audio, because as we learned, never done journalist work, you can just request things that are public record. And
FOIA,
you get
right?
all the
I listen to
files.
podcasts. FOIA.
Yeah. So Katie and I and our team listened to hours and hours of this trial, and there's obviously so much that didn't make it into the podcast that is just like you're sitting there like dying. There's so much stuff.
Yeah. One of the things that I loved was she was so articulate and so smart. Mm-hmm. Maybe not, obviously not schooled in the ways of law, right? She didn't go to law school.
Right.
But I like, once again, I couldn't even pick a sandwich for lunch. I would crumble. There's no way I could I would bow down to the legal system and be like, well, I don't know anything about that. And she rises to it, and she tries her best, and really also just rejects things that she's like, you can't do that and you can't say that because of what I believe. And you're like, whoa, she's just fascinating.
Well,
You could see why people would sign up, why they would believe, why they would follow her, why they would feel empowered by her.
Her kids support her.
Mm-hmm.
Her kids really
and the
support her.
court audio was a real trip to listen. I mean, we had just days on end of us just listening to court audio, like pulling the highlights. And yeah, it's kind of this crazy mix of someone trying to infuse the you know, their way of seeing the world into this really, like, you know, it's a court of law, this sterile, and it's just like two opposite ends bumping up each other, and it's relentless. I mean, the trial went on for, Leah, how many days? I mean, we listened to
I think it
almost
was like
all of it.
70, 72 days. Like, it was super long.
Wow.
And you hear the prosecution just getting exasperated.
Yeah.
You hear Tracy getting frustrated and then recommitting. And you hear her son trying to interject. And I mean, it's kind of a whole comedy of errors, and also heartbreaking when you hear a certain testimony and how Tracy reacts to that. So that's a whole thing in itself that, you know, we only got 2 episodes, you know, of the podcast of the trial, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we do have to let them go.
Yeah.
And Mandy could pick your brain for hours. Can I ask you to indulge me in a brief lightning round? Is that scary or exciting? I have questions from a Fandy who wants to know, what was Tracy's friend in for in jail? The lovely 60-year-old woman who befriended her and they would walk. What was she in for?
That's a great question. I don't think we can disclose it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't think it was it was a very minor offense.
But that's honestly a great question.
And then for the 3 of you, do you believe that the cat house guy truly did not get a happy ending? That's a yes or no, ladies. Lightning round.
No, I believe he did.
You believe he did not?
Oh, he did.
Oh, he got a happy ending, says Leah. Katie?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think it was just an energy experience.
I think it was
Mandy.
just an energy experience as well.
I think he wanted to provide like testimony for somebody, because if she got off on the charges, got off is a terrible phrase. If she were found not guilty, then that would be better for his business and acceptance of what he did. So I think he was doing her a solid, so he didn't get a happy ending.
I think he got an energy release that we might not, you know, it's a semantic.
Okay.
Maybe it wasn't a happy ending, but I think he ejaculated. Sorry to be so crude.
We love crude.
We do.
That
all
is
about
on
it.
brand for the Mandcave. And then my last question, and it might take a second. What would be your goddess name? Have you thought about this? You have not. Well, I have thought about this my whole life, and mine would be Gorgonzola. I'm a cheese addict.
Oh.
Does anybody else have a goddess name?
Oh my God.
Mandy?
Probably Toyota.
Nice.
Reliable.
Wow.
I go the distance.
Energy
Sometimes
friendly.
I'm sexy. Very energy friendly. I'm saving the planet. Yeah. I think Toyota. And I have a back seat that's pretty impressive.
Leah?
That's so good. Nothing is coming to me. If I had to say,
Enigma.
Maybe, Enigma, or like, I don't know if that just came into my head.
It caught out.
Your goddess name doesn't
no.
want to be revealed. It cut out literally for that one word.
You
That's
are an
crazy.
enigma. Leo.
Okay, let's just keep it an enigma then.
Oh.
We're in the present.
And Katie?
The only thing that came to mind is I really like passion fruit. So maybe goddess passion fruit, which doesn't make any sense, but it is a juicy fruit. That
pairs nicely
great.
with Gorgonzola, so maybe we would do teamwork. I'm just
You guys,
spitballing.
I like
These
this.
need work.
And you don't know this, but I was ordained a minister this past fall. I mean, it was online, but it's no less legitimate. And so when I start my sex church, I feel like, I have 3 goddess ministers who will work with me. This is wonderful.
Goddess bless.
Goddess bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you
Goddess
guys so
bless.
much. Where can people find you and follow you?
People can find us. We're both on Instagram at Leah Henoch, at Katie Henoch. And
Henoch.
And we have Leah created us a little sister website too. So Henoch Sisters, right? .com, Leah?
HenochSisters.com.
Oh, cool. Hey, so is this the first project you guys have done together, or you've always been sort of a sister team?
We've been making stuff for a long time. This is definitely the first, journalistic thing. We've made a bunch of shorts together and been writing together for a long time.
I love that. Well, great. Well, we will definitely check out your website. And this was a marvel. I hope it becomes a TV show. That it would just be incredible, and good luck with it and everything you do. I'm a super fan, and now our Mandys are super fans.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having us.
Really
you guys are awesome.
ladies.
We love the show.
Yay.
Best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Goddess bless.
Goddess bless.
Goddess bless. Well, they were real jerks. Right?
Let's never do that again.
Inspiring people who have an idea and see it all the way through. I am in awe of them. That's so wonderful.
I know. When the pandemic hit, you and I got together on our microphones and talked about menopause. And they recovered this whole thing. And how great. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the social media, but by God, she saw her friend's thing on Facebook and it inspired her to take on this story. I loved it. I really was. I found myself so pulled in. I was in Portland when I started listening to it. And so I would walk around the neighborhood and I would find myself taking walks just so I could revisit the world of Tracy Elise. And it was, I thought it was such a ride and so even-handed.
It's wonderful.
And they're adorable.
They're fantastic. Well, they're from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You cannot go wrong.
You kid about that, but I seriously feel like I have met so many creative, amazing. There is something about Massachusetts. There's something about Emerson College. I feel like everybody who comes out of Emerson, well, no, have you met a dud from Emerson? I haven't.
I have not.
Well,
but I didn't go there, so I don't care.
Oh, I see. Right. Oh, I see. Well, maybe then it's just your inner circle people from Massachusetts.
Yes. Can we dive a little deeper into this podcast?
Let's get in there. Let's get down that goddess temple. Let's go.
There were a few things that really jumped out at me as like, I believe Tracy thinks this is a religion. I do. Yeah. But then there were a couple of things that made me go, well, and one of the first ones was, the church claims that they help these women heal their trauma from past sexual abuse. And then these women can use that healing to help these seekers, these men.
Yes.
Okay. But then when they are arrested, Rebecca says, I didn't have my anxiety medication because of my trauma in my past, and I needed my daily anxiety medication, and I was flipping out. And I thought, hold the phone. You are saying that this church has healed these women of this trauma.
Right.
Why would a person who has been healed and healing others need her anxiety medication? It just felt like a bump for me.
Well, I think a lot of people might choose one or the other, but a lot of people choose both. I guess it depends on how extreme the anxiety is. Like if it's just that she requires some medication to keep it at bay, and also this is her daily practice that helps her do that. I feel like Rebecca is one of those characters that was super on board at the beginning, and then she became disenchanted. I think she was one of the ones that is she one of the ones? We're supposed to tell people that this can be bumpy, but they announce it on the podcast. They don't give explicit descriptions of sexual assault, but they do talk about sexual assault, that it happens to some women. Yeah. And was Rebecca one of those women? I can't remember.
I don't remember
if she was. But I think I think she was. And she said that she went to Tracy, and Tracy did not address it, did not seek any kind of legal. That's disturbing. It's very disturbing. I don't think that she did that as a practice. Like, I don't think that she was like, screw you, you're a sex worker. I think, but, she may have been distracted. There's no excuse for it, but I wonder if it was one of those things that just like did not compute for her religious. I don't know. I can't get inside her mind.
Right.
But yes, that's
course
one of those
not,
things
yeah.
where you go, oh, that's a terrible mistake. And it goes totally against what the temple was supposed to be about. Like,
And
it
then
can't
there was
just,
another, sorry, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, it just can't be a place for healing, unless someone's getting assaulted. Like, you have to sort of address, that's a big part
Right.
of sex work.
Well, then one of the goddesses says, I had past trauma and abuse, and Tracy basically like put me in a room with a guy who recreated my trauma and abuse, who had no qualifications as a therapist or a doctor. Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah, I don't know
His name
if
was
Tracy
Wayne.
put her in there. I don't know that
Well,
Tracy
it was-
orchestrated that.
It was
I think
part of the goddess temple experience or whatever that
Yeah.
this woman was supposed to do that. It sounds terrible and like a just exploitative and re-abusing her.
yes. Yeah.
And she was very skeptic. She was testifying in court, basically
Yes.
against Tracy for
Yes.
saying this was supposed to be a place where I was supposed to heal
Yeah.
and heal others.
Yes.
And I was re-victimized.
Yes.
It was awful.
That's the thing. Like, I think her idea about women reclaiming their sexuality and all of the ideas are great. But when it comes to practicing on men and not addressing the dangers and the power imbalance that can exist, like, you have to dive into the mouth of that dragon if you're going to do that, like, and she skirted it. And I don't know why. That seems counterintuitive, because then in court, she is so, like, she stands up to these prosecutors are they kind of are aggro, I mean, they're very frustrated by her, of course, but they're also like, they're calling her a hooker, basically, and she is like, that is not what's going on. And I will put my whole life on the line. So, she's complicated.
But then it brings up other cult leaders and other crimes. Like, and I don't want to compare what Tracy was doing to Jim Jones or to someone like that.
Yeah.
But if you break them down into their bare bones, I'm going to start a religion based on my beliefs. And then people are going to suffer because of those beliefs. And they're going, and
Yes.
illegal things are happening because
Yes.
of these beliefs.
Yes.
Those are the bare bones. I'm not comparing the two crimes whatsoever.
No, that's true. But I think you could say that of organized religion as well. There are a lot of people that commit crimes in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
I
I just didn't want to be the one to say it as a Jew. Jews who have committed no crime.
Is there any crime that's been committed in the name of Judaism? Like, is there any?
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I guess I can't think of any right now.
I don't. Yeah,
Why
I'm
don't you
sure.
call your parents? They must know someone.
You have clearly not been listening about my parents. But it is interesting. You don't have carte blanche against the law because you are a religion.
No.
I obsess over Scientology. There are abuses.
Oh.
I don't object if you want to spend all your money going on an e-meter and confessing your
Yes.
sins and talking to ashtrays. That's your choice. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But if you want to commit abuses,
Yes.
then hold the phone.
Absolutely. I mean, you have that problem in the Catholic Church, right? There's so much abuse that happens, and then people it's their place of worship. It's their place of, it's their spiritual home. And so they can't believe that they would be abused in that way. I mean, I think the thing that really kind of gets me about Tracy and this whole church idea is it was like, now she herself suffered abuse. So it's almost like she didn't even want to acknowledge that abuse could exist, right? Because it would it would trigger her. Like she was like, I'm new now, and this is the new goddess, and goddesses can't be hurt. And I think that was her idea about it. She was, even when she was in the trial and it wasn't going well, she was like, I walk with spirit. I walk in spirit. She's using it as a way to protect herself from this thing. And I think, but like you have to. The problem in our society for all religions is that you have to look at these abuses and they have to be dealt with and obliterated. Like you have to clear the air.
But there's a fundamental difference. You're not going to find a Catholic who says, yes, altar boys should be raped by priests. That's part of our religion. That's something that's happening that is not part of the religion.
Right.
It is a horrible, horrible side effect of what that religion is doing.
Yeah.
You know, Jim Jones saying everybody must die was part of their religious belief, or Hail Bop, or any of these. That was the religion itself.
Yes.
Was like committing these crimes.
Yes.
So there's a big separation with the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying that's not part of the ritual of the Catholic Church.
Right. And you're saying because they were taking donations for sex acts, that was the illegal part of it.
Yeah.
I mean they tried to
by
separate
definition,
it.
That's prostitution.
Yeah,
and
for
it's
sure.
not. I don't actually. I think at the heart of this, you and I would maybe agree that I don't think sex work should be illegal, and I would love to have it regulated and become a safe place.
Yeah.
You know, you can go to an S&M club in New York City, and that's okay.
Yeah.
What do they think is happening there, right? That's legal.
Yeah.
But you can't go get a full release massage.
Yeah.
That just doesn't. I don't understand the difference. So
it's a triggering thing. It's a triggering thing that I find. I was talking about this with Patrick when I was, listening to the podcast, and I think it's because men, I think, just have a different, men are the ones who seek out most sex work anyway, right? So I don't understand why the women who perform these acts are shamed and persecuted and, hidden to it's just deal with it, guys. If that's what you need and you want it from a stranger, why should that be different than a gym membership or going to get a massage or getting your hair cut? If that's something you need and there's a woman who's willing to provide it, go for it. Why do we have to, I think there's part of the shame whore thing that's maybe sexy, the secret part of it that is sexy for some, but it's getting women hurt. So we should just end that. But it's the same thing as with abortion. It's not really about abortion. It's, it's about controlling us.
Right. And it's so telling. I know we said this with Leah and Katie, but not one man was prosecuted for going in there and hiring or donating for sex.
Yeah.
I mean,
I genuinely had never, maybe I'd thought about it. It's the same argument with abortion, right? How come nothing happens to the father of these babies? That they have to be responsible for them.
Right.
But I had never thought about that. And I had never thought about, right, of course, when I went to Amsterdam, I'm worldly. And I went to the red light district, and of course, I'm an American and I'm a prude. So there was a little bit of oh my goodness, it did feel a little seedy, but also that was my perspective on it because of my culture. That's not seedy for them. This is where these ladies work. They, some of them have lines out the door and it's just what it is. And they don't have anything on it. They have videos of all kinds. I didn't watch the videos, but you can see the little, the cases have very interesting graphics, some involving animals. I'm not they don't pull any punches over there in that red light district. I think pulling punches is the name of a storefront. Will you put some
links up on the Discord?
I think I still have photos. I could.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so it's very it was a very interesting perspective because I found myself I actually did not enjoy the police and the investigators. I felt a little bit what should have been addressed is any sexual assault and any dangers that happen. There should be guidelines. That was the thing that should be addressed. But this whole, some of the women, if the woman believed it and the man believed it and they were doing this and there was a donation, I was oh my God, leave it alone. Maybe
leave it alone.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe I get if you're in a suburban neighborhood and 2 doors down, there's somebody on a yoga ball topless. Okay. I could see where maybe you'd be can you do that inside or in your backyard?
Right.
But it was I found it really evocative and not just in a, because we always make jokes. We have manned jobs that we give things that we, we're always talking about crazy stuff. And I really appreciated the whole perspective of this podcast.
As did I. And just a fun fact, they talked about something that exists in Arizona, and it's one of the many reasons I could never live there. It's called the manifesting law. And that law is if you are suspected of thinking about a crime or you seem like you might want to commit a crime, you can be arrested on those grounds. Now, anyone who knows me knows I'm always planning crimes. It is like a full-time job. I have not committed them, nor would I ever.
That we know of. Yeah.
But in Arizona, I would be in prison for life.
Okay, wait. So do you really think crimes through? Like, is there, because you listen to a lot of true crime, is there a part of you that's like, well, if I was going to knock off my local bank, like, do you ever think, do you think about like, well, how would I get away with a murder? How would I?
Not murder. Don't worry, Jeremy, you can sleep peacefully tonight. No, not murder, but things like theft or, you know, how could I get away with sneaking into that place without paying or, you know, like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think about it all the time. I wrote a heist movie just now.
Yeah.
I like the idea of sticking it to the man. How could I get away with, you know, getting my insurance to pay for something that didn't really happen? Planning crimes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to call them victimless because I understand the insurance company is made up of people, but nothing violent ever.
Yeah.
Nothing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always like thinking, ooh, you know, if we went in that way, they wouldn't see us and we could watch another movie for free or whatever. Yeah.
Do you think that if you, I mean, let's say that you have to support your kid and you have no skills and you can't get a job, like, would you ever find yourself doing
That's
sex
my
work?
reality. No, I don't think I could. I'm too self-conscious.
Yeah, me too. There's no way.
Yeah.
I'd want to talk. I mean, you know, I couldn't do it.
Right.
But I did have a friend in high school who danced, who was a stripper. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. I didn't.
Yeah. It was scandalous because, you know.
Wait, while in high school?
No, it was her freshman year of college.
Oh, God, that's still so young. That makes me sad.
Yeah, well, she was,
like, it's just so young to make those choices, 18, 19.
But
like,
I will say, she had her parents were very hippie. I'll just say that her name includes either cannabis or sativa. I'll let you decide. But like, which I don't know if you know that. That's the term for marijuana, you guys. That's the actual cannabis. Sativa is marijuana. Anyway, I don't smoke it, though. I just want you guys to know I don't smoke that stuff. It's just that I really don't. Now it sounds like I do, and I'm just saying I don't, but I really don't. You know I don't. Okay. Anyway.
Ooh, guilty.
A lot of coffee. So she was very empowered about it. And I remember being very prudish and very kind of like, oh my God, that's, you know, a stripper. It was so scandalous. Yeah. But when she talked about it in her very nice car and her very nice apartment, she was like, I'm doing this for a little while. I look great. I love my body. I love dancing for these guys. I don't do any of that other stuff. I'm making a crap ton of money. And she was super, like, she didn't feel victimized or, you know, I mean, she was objectified, but she's like, who cares? I'm fine with this. And yeah, I had never heard that perspective before. So I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool.
Do you ever see the movie Hustlers?
You know what? I didn't, but I wanted to. I think I watched the first bit and I thought it was pretty good. And I heard it was great. No? You didn't like it?
It's fun. Yeah, yeah. No, it's fun. But it's really essentially that.
Yeah.
Like, look, we got to make ends meet. So let's do what we got to do. And,
I think I could actually, just for like art, for like an art installation, I think I could get a job as a dancer now. And just to sort of record the faces of people, I would actually love that. That's something that in this fantastic book I'm reading, The Candy House, there is a character that screams just to make people uncomfortable.
I love it.
It's the best chapter. Even if you don't read the whole book, you got to read that chapter. It's just this kid who's just trying to get people to be authentic. And so he literally just screams in public places. It's beyond.
Well, I have a friend who did a solo flash mob on Hollywood on Highland and wouldn't let anybody else participate while she danced around to Thriller. And if anybody wants to see my friend do that, where could they find that video?
I think it's on YouTube. I think it's world's I don't know, solo flash mob. We'll put the link in the show notes.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Yes, and Mandy, you were there
I was.
You were in it, and I pushed you out of the way, and I had no idea that you were pregnant with Casey at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're lucky
All
that
the
Casey's
behind-the-scenes stuff.
as smart and
That he
funny.
turned out okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he has the musical theater gene, because I kept running and trying to do the dance with you.
That's it. I'm so glad.
Okay. Are we giving it man jobs?
Yeah, let's give it man jobs. Look, I give this thing 10 man jobs. I loved it.
Wow.
I'm
going to follow the rules. 5, because I don't want to have Maricopa County after me for breaking the rules.
Clearly. I would be the goddess who's standing at trial singing, and you would be like, where do I sign?
I would plea so fast. Oh my God, I'm going to sign a plea bargain right now just to cover my bases.
I just texted you one. It's a DocuSign. Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. I recommend lots of discussion to be had after listening to Mystic Mother. Reach out to us on Discord.
Yes.
Which is mandcave.com/Discord. And it's a fun place for us to share thoughts and ideas.
And guys, if you want to know how we came to be here, Mandcave is a production of True Story FM, music by Ian Post, produced and engineered by Pete Wright. And if you guys want to, this is so exciting. Please do go to Apple Podcasts and check out our reviews and ratings, and go ahead and let your fingers do the walking. You know what I mean? Goddess bless us with 5 stars or whatever you feel. And we love to hear from you. In fact, I think we got a couple new reviews this week, right?
We do, from Marbear. Mandys are hilarious and say exactly what we are thinking.
That's amazing.
Specifically, which Mandy? Because I either love Marbear or I disrespect them.
Thank you,
Depending on
Marbear.
which one of us they agree with. Write a review so we can give you a shout out. Don't just hit the stars. Write a review, please, and thank you.
Yeah, we would love it. And talk to us on Discord. You can also, today, we forgot to point out, but I'm wearing my Mandcave title t-shirt. Look how well this fits, actually. I never showed you how good I look in this t-shirt. Am I right?
Yeah.
Patrick was like, whoa, hubba bubba.
Very nice.
And he's going to start listening to the podcast. So there you go. We have one more celebrity follower.
And if you want to become a Fandy to support us, that's mandcave.com/Fandy, Fandy. $5 gets you all sorts of bonus content and a birthday message.
Yeah. And the merch is at mandcave.com/merch. And there you go. Oh,
that's all the business.
That's all the business. That's
fun.
All,
oh my gosh, we are real Hollywood power players.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
interviewing these people.
Yeah, we kind of were before, but now I feel very authentic.
Awesome.
Yeah. They were great.
And so last 2 episodes have been wicked fucking classy. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, wicked fucking classy.
I'm bringing us back down to where I'm comfortable.
Oh, no.
With a raunchy, funny comedy.
Oh, okay.
That I love, that I know you have not seen.
Oh, okay. Cockblocker.
This is... this is up there, not as high as the remake of Vacation, which I love with all my heart.
Oh.
But it is right near it.
What?
It's one of those that anytime it's on TV, I have to watch it. It is a 2013 release called We're the Millers.
Oh!
Starring Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston, Emma Roberts, Kathryn Hahn, Nick Offerman. This is Ed Helms. It's such a funny movie.
Oh my God.
I love it dearly, and I just want to laugh and see if it makes you laugh.
Well, how great. It's so retro and classic.
Right?
Yeah.
10 years old.
Yeah, I really love that. Okay. Well, I'm just very excited to, and also it's We're the Manders, right? I mean, that's the... Yeah, that's how we pick everything.
And this episode, I would like to request to be called Mandyistic Mother.
Really? I would have gone Mystic Mander, but that's why we have a podcast.
And that's why Pete decides the titles of our show.
Okay. Yay. Okay. We're the Millers next week. This was fun. Thank you. And I'll see you next week.
Love you.
Love you.